As we continue our journey into the transformative world of XR, our next session focuses on innovation, creativity, and the unique opportunities for immersive technology in the global south. It is my privilege to invite Shri.Jayendra Panchapakesan, co-founder of QUBE, to present XR Engine Global South and use cases for the global south. With a diverse and inspiring career spanning advertising, filmmaking, and social impact, Shri Panchapakesan has been a pioneer in introducing digital cinema technologies in India and creating content that bridges art, culture, and technology. From directing India's first Carnatic concert film to leading innovative cinematic projects, he has consistently explored new ways to merge creativity with technology, making him a visionary voice for XR in the global south. May I now request Shri.Jayendra Panchapakesan to please take the stage for this session.
Good afternoon. Looking at all the bright minds in this room, I always think that I'm in the wrong room. Because the backgrounds are very, very different. And I come from the filmmaking space. And it's interesting that Dr. Manivannan decided to invite me to speak on this occasion, and thank you very much. Looking at all the presentations this morning, it was quite interesting that how much technology is able to empower individuals. But unfortunately, me as a filmmaker, I am stuck with transporting 500 people in an auditorium into imaginary space. I am constantly looking for ways to grab their attention, to draw them into my story, and keep them there so that they don't escape the imaginary world that I am building. So, if you look at it, to understand this concept, you have to go back in time and understand the history of cinema and how really it has been dealing with its audiences. We try to take a lot of trouble, script a film, work very hard in filming it, editing it, adding sound and visual effects to it, to somehow grab this 500 people sitting in the auditorium. But this immersiveness that we are talking about has never been constant. It has been a moving goalpost. Immersiveness started probably when cinema started. In 1895, they thought cinema was really immersive because for the first time, still pictures started moving, and the moving pictures looked very magical, mesmerizing, and therefore immersive. But this novelty quickly faded off, and people wanted more. They wanted what they saw on screen to look like life. And so as filmmakers, we started the search for something that holds the persistence of vision, something that combines picture and sound, and we were on this whole search of trying to find the right frame rate which will make all this happen. And somewhere along the line, we found that we could make this happen starting from 8 frames. We finally arrived at 24 frames. This 24 frames was a magical number. It has stuck with cinema forever. And even today, this is the basis on which we really make cinema immersive. And it is the kind of thing that helps us marry sound and picture together. And from silent movies, when music started for the first time,
He's an angel of joy.
This was the first time when sound and picture came in sync,
Wait a
and
minute.
people
Wait a
were
minute. You ain't
so
heard
blown
nothing
away
yet.
that they
Wait a
completely
minute, I
got
tell you.
immersed
You ain't heard nothing. You want to hear
into
Toot
what
Toot
they were
Toot Toot?
seeing.
All right, hold on.
But soon, that wasn't
So listen,
immersive enough.
play Toot Toot.
Audience craved for more in terms of stories, more in terms of immersiveness, and so filmmakers became more ambitious. They wanted to tell stories which are just not day to day of what you see in the world around you, but more of drama, more of action, more of adventure, more of fantasy. And to that, they found this picture on the wall very, very limiting. And it was the time that when television also came in. So the television, they didn't want television and cinema to look alike. As filmmakers, we want cinema to have a pride of its place, and we want to differentiate it from television. So the filmmakers again started looking, and they thought that a wider presentation could be more immersive. And, and soon we started looking at different aspect ratios from, the conventional 4 by 3. We started experimenting with different aspect ratios till we arrived at this very wide, large format of 70 CinemaScope Panavision, which could narrate the stories, all the adventure stories and the fantasy stories and the war and the action, all that in a much better way. And yet at the same time, it presented itself in completely differentiating itself from television. Not so much today, because televisions have become 16 by 9. So that's a snapshot of all the aspect ratios that the film cinema as a medium has gone through. And today, at what one time, we thought CinemaScope and 70 the wider formats were the way to go. But it has gone a full cycle, and today we are looking at 1.89 and 1.9, like if you look at Oppenheimer, they've gone back to the large vertical format because today we think that has become more immersive. When picture got bigger, but it still was a picture on the wall, filmmakers somehow thought it was not immersive enough. So they wanted to add depth. And so straight we jumped into stereoscopic 3D. Stereoscopic 3D really defined the picture on the wall in terms of adding depth. It had so much potential. Suddenly the picture was more lifelike than what we had ever imagined. But, filmmakers also have this bad streak. You give them a little bit of technology, they can use it even in many different wrong ways. So instead of using the depth of 4D or 3D, they decided to throw arrows and bombs at the audience, which completely put off the audience, and no more was it was more distracting than immersive. So 3D was loud, impressive, but at the same time it was distracting. And added to this, all the audience in the theater wanted to wear glasses, had to wear glasses, and this was, for a theater audience, this was kind of intrusive. I see today all morning everybody is wearing all kinds of glasses, but you go to a theater and ask the avid film lover to wear glasses, he thinks that's intrusive. So cinema has been chasing this immersive experience for a very, very long time. And it has been a long race that has been continuously, the destination has been continuously changing. But in this race, picture has been far left behind, and sound really took the lead. For the first time, I think sound was faster than light. And, uh, so suddenly, when we started with a simple mono sound, which came from the film itself, then we tried to add another track and have a stereo sound in the theater where both the tracks were on film. But from here, the biggest jump we got in terms of immersiveness when film went digital and we had 5.1 sound in the theater. This consisted of a center channel which usually had the dialogue of the film, the left stage channel and the right stage channel for the things to move along with the things on the screen. Like if there was a footstep going across, the sound could also move from left to right. And there were these surround channels which gave the feel of the things happening around the environment we were sitting in. And there was a huge subwoofer channel which provided the bass and the drama for action scenes and for the war and different earthquake and everything else. From 5.1 sound, 7.1, 12.1 were all incremental, 12.2 were all incremental changes, but the real big leap came when we went into spatial sound, where with Dolby Atmos, it was no more channel-oriented directionality of sound. We went into object-based sound. Like if I was sitting in a theater, if there was supposed to be someone who was just standing a few rows behind me in terms of my storytelling, then the sound generated from there, and it had the presence there, it had the emanation there, it had the directionality there, and that made my experience in terms of sound really, really immersive. In this immersive scenario created by sound, where was picture? It was still a picture on the wall. But from there we went into, okay, we said CinemaScope was wide, but suddenly we wanted a bigger presentation. So we went into premium large format cinemas. So we had IMAX, our homegrown Epic, Dolby Cinema. All these tried to push the picture on the wall to the maximum so that, and the theaters were designed in such a way that wherever you sit, your periphery of vision was the projection that was happening on the screen. So with peripheral vision fully covered with Atmos sound all around you, things were really immersive. But was it? Immersiveness is not about a bigger presentation, but bringing the audience really into the story and making them a part of it. So somewhere along the line, I was still the audience. I was not a part of the story. And here I think the personal tools really made a big leap. One day I went into an Apple showroom and put on my Apple Vision Pro, and suddenly as a filmmaker, I thought this was it. It drew me completely in. I wasn't looking at the 4K per eye or the micro OLED and the eye tracking and the hand tracking. I ignored all this, and I just focused on what was the experience it was giving me. But suddenly, when I turned my head, I saw the whole world responding to my turn. There was no lag, there was no drift. The brain accepted it as the fact that I was in the real world. So what this looks like as an individual tool, now as a filmmaker, I am thinking whether I can deliver it to a larger audience. Very, very difficult. But for the first time, I think the Sphere in Las Vegas tried to give it shape. So the Sphere, if you look at it, it's a dome, 270 degrees, shared immersive space. It gives us 112 meters tall dome with a 16K wraparound screen covering 16,000 square feet. Absolutely phenomenal spectacle, but every cinema can't become a sphere. 270 degrees dome, 112 meters tall dome, 16 Ks, 160,000 square feet of immersive space, and 160,000 individually controlled speakers. Very, very immersive, but still, I think, only restricted to a special venue and not to mainstream cinema. So from here, we are looking at what can a mainstream cinema get out of this, and there came a more affordable, practical solution in the QUBE. The QUBE is still an amphitheater kind of a situation where you stream content and the content goes all around in front of you, peripheral vision, and even behind you. And they are capable of playing mainstream movies. They have played Willy Wonka, they played some mainstream movies, and the mainstream movies are just not played. They augment the content so that sitting there, you get a very, very immersive experience. But is surrounding the audience with picture and sound enough to make it immersive? For a long time, cinema has had a thought that is not the case. We need more. So people have experimented with 4D, adding that extra dimension. When an earthquake happens, we want the seats to vibrate. When a boat journeys down the river, we want cold blast of air on the audience faces. When we enter the dark cave, we want the smell of dampness and bat and all that hitting our senses. But I always think as a filmmaker, will this immerse the audience? Somewhere along the line, I have watched this and I feel that there is the story and the movie happening at one level, and in our brain, all this, the touch and the feel and the smell and the vibration, everything happening, and however much they are in sync in time, somehow my brain doesn't perceive that to be communicating one thing together. So somewhere along the line, though the sensations are being thrown at me, I feel that somewhere along the line, they are not combining in my brain the way I want it to be. So my question to all the bright minds here is, so can technology stop chasing sensation and start triggering emotion? Somewhere along the line, if I can make audience feel the fear come alive in their brains, if I can make the love much more sweeter in their brains, if I can feel the tensions of the characters be experienced by everybody, in somewhere directly translating that into a communication to the brains, are we moving towards the immersiveness that we are thinking about? So I would say that today, with all the clutter that is going around, overload of content, overload of complete deficiency of attention by the audience. Like when I write a scene today, as I'm writing the scene, I wonder, at this place, will he stop looking at the screen and look at his mobile? So that is what I'm competing against. I'm not competing against what is on the screen, but the habit of looking at the mobile. So I don't want him to slip away for a second. I want him to be in this completely transferred world right through my entire narration. So for that, I don't think I can do it as a filmmaker. I need all the engineers out here. and I need the psychologists to work with them to make sure that we don't stop, we just stop talking to the sensory things in us and talk more to the emotions directly and see how is there some ubiquitous computing that is possible that will make this happen in the future. Thank you.
We thank Shri.Jayendra Panchapakesan for an engaging and inspiring session. His insights on XR innovation and use cases for the Global South have offered a unique perspective on how immersive technology can empower creativity, culture, and social impact.